we have decided we are not going to play Fusion Dress with the Piss Virina order. We are gonna do it the pure way as God and Kidani intended. Today we are talking about the worst, best, strongest deck in the entire of the Will Dress era. It is XOD. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Rizzo4 here. Today we are back to talk about a deck that has been very heatedly discussed about. People hate this deck, people love this deck, and people still pay for this deck. It's Nirvana Jheva. But as you guessed, I'm actually not into Chicken Woman. Today we have Faye the Fourth.
Neither am I into Dungaree.
I see. So today we are going to be talking about XOD in set 9, which is a very critical juncture for XOD. It's received about 3 waves of support now, and there's a lot of debate on whether this deck can actually survive or not. First of all, it's already in a very unfavorable matchup with stuff like Jet, Tempest, Eva all running around, where at the same time, I'd say that this deck boasts one of the strongest early rush in the game and has a really good Omni Searcher in the form of Stragaglio, whom we're actually going to make another deck profile on another time. But today we're going to talk about what he's supposed to support but didn't do a very good job of, and that's XOD. So let's get right into it.
Okay, so the right line is very, very simple. You must play the scrambled egg. It's just the same scrambled egg from the start deck, but he has 1 hair instead of no hair. he decided to sign up for Manscaped, yes, of course. Do that to date this video. They play the new Reno because the new Reno does the same thing as the old Reno. When rolled upon by Ryu, search your deck for. So when rolled upon by the new Ryu, you search your deck for 1 Trickstar and you call it. And then if it boosts a Prayer Dragon, she gains 5. Then we have the new Ryu, which doesn't do the same thing as the old Ryu, even though I really wish that she did. When rolled upon by Nirvana Jheva, search your deck for look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You reveal 1 Prayer Dragon from among them, and then you add it to your hand.
Okay.
And when it's boosted by a Prayer Dragon, gain 5.
That's a skill on the rear guard.
Yeah, rear guard skill.
So it doesn't really matter. And that's also a skill on the rear guard. So
yeah. I mean, if you wanted to do Prayer Dragon Rush, it's also technically fine. But, that's giving up most of the gimmicks of this deck.
If you want to play Prayer Dragon Rush, shouldn't you be playing more Prayer Dragons in the main deck?
Yeah. Anyways, we now move on to the best boss ever printed. Chakrabarti, Phoenix Dragon, Nirvana Jheva. So he's a good boss. It's just that the support around him is just not that good. It's just act once per turn, discard 1 card from your hand. You not only get to call a Trickstar this time, you also get to call a Prayer Dragon. So it's a component -1 to +2, which is not bad.
Considering that XOD as a mechanic involves you actually minusing. Yeah, it's fine.
Yes. Then his second ability is that Vanguard Circle auto when he attacks. Counterblast 1, you may choose one of your cross overdress units and you may restand it.
Yep, so it's a free restander built in, but it's at a counterblast. So.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That was very fast.
Yes.
Before we continue, I feel there's a very pressuring need to talk about what an XOD is. An XOD unit basically is like an overdress unit, but it is the combination of both a Trickstar and a Prayer Dragon. At least for set 9, all of them have fulfilled this requirement. So basically, you need to have a Trickstar as well as a Prayer Dragon in your rear guards. A Prayer Dragon is known as the Race, by the way. And then you basically slap it on top of Trickstar, is it? And then you can just shift the other guy there. Yeah. Or is it shift like?
No, I mean you just suck both of them to the same rear guard circle.
Oh, okay. So you move to any circle and it just.
No, it's like whatever rear guard circle, either the Trickstar or the Prayer Dragon is, you choose one of either all of the rear guard circle, then you move all of them to 1 circle.
I see. Okay. And then basically you have 2 dresses now.
That's why now it's possible for you to, with Ryu skill, to call Trickstar to the back row to boost.
Isn't that what they show in the show?
Yes. That's right.
Okay, so now that I've explained the XOD, because I felt like that's kind of compulsory at this point, let's talk about the actual deck itself. Our grade 3s, we play 1 copy of Nirvana Jheva in the right deck and 3 in the main deck. Then we also play 1 copy of Better Call Ball and then 3 copies of Braum Virina.
Yes. So Nirvana Jheva is a deck that desperately needs to Persona Ride, because unlike the card in the start deck, your front row does not gain any power at all, which is very, very strange. But overall, I think trading the power for the restand was worth it in the end, especially because most of the XODs themselves gain power.
Yeah, most of the XODs have some way to gain power.
Yeah. Speaking of gaining power, we're gonna talk about the biggest boy himself, brilliant equipped dragon Braum Virina. So Brown Varina, of course,
He's from
has the
set 6.
XOD clause, so he requires 1 Prayer Dragon and 1 Trickstar. And his skill is continuous. If he is in the XOD state, he gains 10k. If your opponent is grade 3 or greater,
He gains another 10k.
And that's a long shot of it. He's just 33k for doing nothing. And then his second ability is when his attack hits a vanguard, if he's in the cross overdress state, you soul blast 1, you choose a column and you retire all units in that. You choose one of your opponent's columns and you retire all units in that column. So
it bypasses a resist if you manage to choose.
It bypasses resist.
It bypasses resist.
Yeah, but it doesn't bypass obscurity. So oh
well, different fight. Anyways, it's 33k. That's bloody insane.
33k that restats.
And restats because of Jheva.
Yes.
And then our tech pick, better
tech
call
pick
ball.
is of course our favorite set 7 card that didn't counter charge. What is it? I forgot what his title is, but it's Bao Varina.
Isn't it Flame Equipped Dragon?
Yeah, Flame Equipped Dragon, Bao Varina. So Bao Varina's skill is crossover dress. Once again, it's crossover dress with a Prayer Dragon and a Trickstar. And then his skill is that if this unit is in the crossover dress state, so plus 2, you choose one of your opponent's rear guards to retire it. So you're giving Eugene a lot of run for his money. Eugene is rest 2 rear guards, this one is just so plus 2.
Oh my god.
Yes. And then his second ability is auto. When he attacks in the crossover dress state, he gains 2k for each of your opponent's open rear guard circle. So haha, Blade Master.
Oh my god, Mubidi!
And then if your opponent has 1 or less rear guard, counterblast 1, and until that turn until the end of that battle he minuses 1 drive check and he can do drive checks on the rear guard.
So basically it's just 1 drive check. It's a CB1 plus 1.
So you remember Ganslot, right? From V series?
Oh my god.
Except now it calls a counterblast.
But
so
it's not until the end of turn, right?
It's not end of battle.
So if you restand him, he has to pay the cost again should he want to draw again.
Yeah. So usually you just do the drive check once. So let's say like it's a turn that you really have low hand size, you can just do the drive check once.
Okay.
And then you restand your other XOD because the goal of this deck is to have double XOD. Like same with Maha, you want to have 2 XOD on both front row rear guard circles, 1 XOD on both front row rear guard circles to pressure because they are your best attackers.
Yeah.
And Bao Marina is just there to plus more cards, and you hit the over trigger, you clap your hands.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to our grade 2, we play 1 copy of Ryu in the right deck. Play 4 copies of this is Garo Varina.
Yeah, this one is Flash Sword equipped Jewel Sword equipped Dragon. Garo Varina.
And then we have 1 copy of Billy's Varina, and then 3 copies of my favorite Prayer Dragon. This is Valsaber.
Yes.
So I'm gonna spin into it real quick. This is obviously part of the right deck. She's very hot. Ha ha ha. Then of course we have I'm going to talk about Valsaber first, I'll let you talk about the rest later. Valsaber basically has a really cool skill that when he becomes part of an original dress, that means he's put into a rear guards XOD state, he counterblasts 1, he chooses a grade 1 or lesser Prayer Dragon, and he superior calls it onto the rear guards.
Fire drop zone.
So, yeah, from the drop zone. So basically, as long as you have a grade 1 or lower Prayer Dragon, there's no grade 0 Prayer Dragon, okay? Trickstar is not a Prayer Dragon. Basically you can instantly just train out any of the grade 1s from the drop, which is either in this deck list is going to be Brahmada or Straganio. It's really free and really instantaneous that you just counterblast 1 and you swap the -2 that you cost to build the XOD into a -1.
But of course, it costs a counterblast.
It costs a counterblast, yes, which is the downside of Valsaber. But Valsaber is easily, to me, the best Prayer Dragon ever printed. And it sucks that this guy was in the trailer, but they never highlighted him, they never used him in the show, they gave him no screen time whatsoever. But if you've tested Varina, you know that this is the real source of XOD, not anything else that they tell you, not that stupid Rubago, it's this guy. So if you can play 3 or more in your XOD decks, you absolutely should. Next, moving up, we have Garo Varina.
Garo Varina is easily the simplest and still the best XOD Varina in my opinion, which his skill is very simple, is that if it's in the XOD, once again it's XOD requirement.
Yes.
And continuous, it's a continuous skill.
It's a continuous skill.
On rear guard circle. When this unit attacks if this unit is in the cross overdress state, he gains 10k, and when he attacks a vanguard, your opponent must guard with 2 or more cards on their hand. So it will cost if they want to PG, it will cost them 3. It will cost them 3 cards. And if they want to guard it normally, it will cost them a lot of cards on their hand. Especially early game, if you rush with this, then if they want to guard this at all, they're forced to throw out. Even though they'll either throw out, just have to take the damage. or they have to throw out like 30k shield just to stop the 20k beater, which it doesn't make any sense.
So Garo actually is not only one of the best early game attackers, he's also your best finisher.
Yes.
And in stage of the game, it's just good to have him, which is why he's the only XOD at 4.
No, but it's just too bad it doesn't have resist, right?
Yeah.
It's too bad it doesn't have resist.
Who has resist?
Speaking of resist, we have what I think a lot of people thought was the best XOD form, but in my opinion, it's just become more of a type option, which is Bill's Varina.
Honestly, I feel people hyped it up because they were upset the original overdress deck never got the resist it needed. So when they printed resist on the XOD card, people flipped their shits, but frankly, this guy is not what I think it is.
Yeah, so Bill's Varina has a skill, auto skill is that when this unit is in the cross overdress state, he cannot be chosen by opponent's card effects.
Wait, that's an auto skill?
No, it's a continuous skill.
That's a continuous skill.
Yeah.
Is it auto?
Yeah. Then it's a continuous skill, yeah, so as long as in the cross overdress state, your opponent cannot choose him for their card abilities, and continuous against 5k and 10k shield. So he's just a 15k attacker. He's not really there for you to restand him unless push comes to shove. And otherwise, he's just a really really strong 15k shield and very sticky on the board.
Yes.
Unless your opponent is playing Balsagra. Foreshadowing.
Moving on to our grade 1s. Our grade 1s, we play 1 copy of Reno for the right deck, 4 copies of the King Stragalio, 3 copies of Brahmada, 4 copies of our PG. So let's get into it. We play Reno in the right deck, as we already mentioned, for good reason. Our PG is Sparkle Protector. We're playing the one from 06 because we're staying on team with the anime. So yeah. Cool. Haha. Then of course we play 3 copies of Brahmada. Brahmada, when he becomes part of a dress for an XOD unit, you counterblast 1, you draw 2, and then you discard 1. So yeah, it's not as great as you think it is, but it's still really really cool. Using his skill once or even twice a game to get that fast draw to build your boards is impressive, no matter how you look at it. Lastly, we have Stragalio. Stragalio, when placed on the rearguard circle, you discard
from hand.
Oh, when placed from hand. Okay,
yes.
From hand. So you can't use this on Vault Saber. No. You search your deck. You discard 1 and search your deck for a Trick Star or a card with the overdress ability. So yes, we are seriously foreshadowing to you what there is to come in our next video. I hope you are very very excited for this, because we are not excited for this at all. Am I right? So let's not go into Valiante, please. No one take out Valiante. Leave him at home. And then you add it to your hand. So or a Trick Star. So it's not that bad in Bread Dragons because you can at least search for your Trick Star.
Yeah.
Okay.
So cool. It means at least it helps accelerate double Varina.
And then of course when he becomes the XOD target, you can call blast 1 and choose a Trick Star from your drop zone and call it.
Yes.
So Stragalio is basically just Trick Star card at this point. It trains your Trick Stars from drops. It trains your Trick Stars from hand, from deck to your hand. There is really no other way I can say it. Stragalio is really gonna be dependent on the power of the dress decks. If your deck is just not good, in whatever meta, Stragalio is gonna be very cheap. But if Stragalio is in a very strong dress meta, then expect him to cost you a lot as well.
I mean, to be honest, the only real search target for if you want to play XOD OD is Varina Arcs, because Varina Arcs is just easy on overdress +2. But we are not playing Varina Arcs because frankly there is absolutely no space.
And it costs a counterblast.
Yes.
Our grade 0s, we play, one
Scramble
of our 4 Trick Star. We are not playing in the starters this time because, we don't need to. Then we play 1 over trigger. We play 4 of the fronts because, fronts are good. For crits, we play a whopping 8 crit, I believe. No,
7
crits. Because we restand the front row, right? So there's not really a need to play that many. And then we play 4 heals. We're playing normal heals because, like I said earlier, we don't really want to bet on what the shield is. We kind of just want to make sure that we can get what we want easily, because this deck is as fragile as it is. We don't really need to start betting on what the opponent is playing for us to actually be able to defend.
Yes.
And yes, that actually wraps up our XOD deck profile for set 9.
This deck is very very simple. I mean, it may still win every now and then, but for now this deck is still in a not very good spot. But the reason why I'm even doing this deck profile is because I have faith that later on Jheva will actually become a deck that is actually good
You mean
and
set
actually has resources.
You mean set
Yes, believe in what's his name?
Mirez Varina.
Yeah, Mirez Varina.
Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye bye.